Hello again, dear listener. You've arrived at the perfect time for a story from the past, told gently and slowly as night wraps itself around us. Whether you're easing into sleep or simply seeking a soft pause from the day, I'm grateful to be part of your routine. Let me know where you're listening from. Are you watching the sunrise, or is the moon hanging outside your window as it is mine? If these calm historical narratives bring you peace, I invite you to subscribe and come along for many more. Off the coast of what is now North Carolina lies a quiet barrier island called Roanoke. Today, it is covered by forests, beaches, and the sound of the Atlantic wind. But more than 4 centuries ago, it was the site of one of history's most enduring mysteries: the disappearance of an entire colony of English settlers. A community of more than 100 men, women, and children simply vanished. No bodies were found, no remains of violence, only a single word carved into a wooden post: Croatoan. For over 400 years, historians, archaeologists, and storytellers have tried to answer one simple question: what happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? In the late 1500s, England was beginning to dream of empire. Spain had grown rich from the New World: gold, silver, and colonies across the Americas. Queen Elizabeth I wanted England to join that race for expansion. In 1584, she granted a charter to an ambitious explorer named Sir Walter Raleigh. His mission? To establish an English colony in the Americas, claim new lands, and open trade routes. Raleigh's first expedition, led by Captains Philip Amadas and Arthur Barlow, arrived on the coast of North Carolina in the summer of 1584. They encountered local Algonquian-speaking tribes, notably the Croatan and Socotan peoples, and returned to England with glowing reports of fertile land and friendly natives. Encouraged, Raleigh planned a permanent settlement. The following year, 1585, over 100 men set sail under Sir Richard Grenville. They built a fort on Roanoke Island. But supplies ran short, relations with the natives grew tense, and the men eventually abandoned the settlement. When an English supply ship returned, they were gone. Only the fort remained. Still, the dream of a colony endured. In 1587, a new expedition was organized, this time including families, craftsmen, and women. It was led by John White, an artist and cartographer. White hoped to establish a self-sustaining English community. Around 115 colonists arrived that summer, including White's daughter, Eleanor Dare, who would soon give birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the New World. But almost immediately, problems began. Supplies were limited, and communication with nearby tribes was uncertain. When tensions rose, White decided to sail back to England to request additional support. He left behind his daughter, granddaughter, and the rest of the colony, promising to return quickly. Yet, when White reached England, Europe was in turmoil. Spain's armada threatened England's shores, and every available ship was requisitioned for defense. White's requests were delayed. Years passed. Finally, in 1590, he returned to Roanoke Island. When White and his men arrived, they found the settlement completely deserted. No sign of struggle, no bodies, no fires. The houses had been dismantled, as though carefully taken apart. Chests were opened, belongings scattered. White searched desperately for clues. He found one word carved into a wooden post: Croatoan. And on a nearby tree, the letters Crow. White had instructed the colonists that if they were forced to move, they should carve the name of their new location. And if they were attacked, they should carve a Maltese cross. There was no cross. Croatoan referred to a nearby island, home of the Croatan people, allies of the English. White wanted to sail there immediately, but storms damaged his ships, forcing the expedition to turn back to England. He never saw his family again. The colony was never found. In the centuries that followed, speculation grew. Some believed the colonists were killed by hostile tribes. Others suggested they were absorbed into friendly native communities. A few even imagined they had built their own ships and attempted to return to England, lost at sea. John White's maps contained faint markings, one covering what appeared to be a small fort symbol. Recent scans have revealed that this could indicate a relocation inland, toward the Chowan River. Archaeologists have since found European artifacts in that region, fragments of pottery, tools, and weapon parts dating from the late 1500s. Were they left by survivors of Roanoke? Possibly, but not conclusively. Modern archaeology has continued the search. Projects like the First Colony Foundation have excavated sites on Roanoke Island and the nearby mainland. At Site X in Bertie County, North Carolina, a collection of 16th-century European objects was uncovered, including a slate writing tablet, copper pieces, and nails consistent with English manufacture. DNA research is also being explored, comparing genetic data from local indigenous communities to possible descendants of the colonists. While such connections remain speculative, they suggest some colonists may have been absorbed into native tribes such as the Croatan or Hatteras. Still, no final proof has ever surfaced. More than 400 years later, the lost colony remains just that, lost. It is a story of ambition and misfortune, of cultural encounter and misunderstanding, of hope left behind on a windswept island. Perhaps the settlers joined neighboring tribes and built new lives. Perhaps disease or hunger ended their settlement quietly. Or perhaps, as some like to imagine, the sea itself took them. In the end, Roanoke's disappearance became a symbol, a reminder of how fragile the first steps of empire could be. All that endures is the carving on a post, the memory of a vanished community, and the haunting question that still drifts on the Carolina coast. What really happened to the lost colony of Roanoke?